Geordies, welcome back to your Finding the Fabian Schar replacement. And yesterday I'd done a video on Antonio Silva, Nathan Collins, Ousmane Diomande and Christian Mosquera, and it actually did quite well. So I thought I would do another one on another 4 possible Fabian Schar long-term replacements. But I've also just had an idea actually. Why don't we, after every video, I put out a voting pool and you can vote for the player of your liking. And then that player goes through the next round, and eventually we'll break it down to one player that us as a fan base can vote on and have as a Fabian Schar replacement and see if it comes true. Thought that would be a kind of good idea. But today we're going to be looking at 4 individuals, and I put these players together because I think there are a lot of similarities in them all. Giorgio Scalvini, Joel Ordóñez, Taylor Harwood-Bellis, and Ryan Flamingo. They're the 4 candidates we're going to be looking at in this video. We're going to be comparing them to Fabian Schar, then comparing them against each other, but also talking a little bit about what I know about their strengths and weaknesses. But if you haven't already, make sure you go and check out that first video. But I thought I would start with Giorgio Scalvini, who broke through the academy at Atalanta and he was turning heads. He was getting compared to Maldini, all these types of players. So he's a player with a lot of potential. He's 21 years old, born in 2003, stands at a colossal 6'4", and he's made 107 senior appearances. Now, one of my biggest concerns about him is the games that he's missed. He's missed 395 days, 63 games he's missed since his senior appearances through injuries. He's just coming back off a big ACL injury as well. So that's something that could bring out concerns amongst you all, but footballing wise, quality wise, this kid is a bit special. He's a centre back, but he's also featured as a defensive midfielder. He's played in the back 3 and the back 4, so he's versatile, a different system. He works best when he's in a pressing system, when it's man-to-man pressing, just like Newcastle do, because you'll often see Scalvini go into the opposition's half trying to win the ball back. He's not a deep block defender, so if you put him into a Nottingham Forest team, he goes wandering. So he's not that type of player that'll just sit back in his own box and defend his box. He's not a defender that wants to win duels. It's all about seizing control of the ball. He wants to win possession, but then play. That's what I love about this boy. He's exceptionally good at reading the game. He makes a lot more interceptions than he does tackling. And that's because he reads the game so well. He wants to win the ball back. And the reason he wants to intercept is so he can retain the ball. And he's got good speed, acceleration, and he's an excellent counter-pressing defender, and that's why he wins a lot of high regains. Most of his tackles come in the opposition half, so in the middle third, I would say, and that's why he suits a Newcastle United team, because we do a lot of that. You often see Fabian Schar dropping into that midfield to win the ball back. You see Dan Burn doing it as well while the other one's covering, so he can absolutely fit into that system. When it comes to weaknesses, his reactions and his turning speed, especially in one-on-one defending. But look, he's not the finished article. There's a lot of refinements needed in his game, but the potential and the well-roundedness is absolutely all there. And we're back with the Fabian Schar graphics. Look, he's very well in the mold of a Fabian Schar. There's not much disparity between the two, but obviously Scalvini's on an increased scale, but like I always say, you've got to remember the leagues that they're playing in. Fabian Schar is playing the Premier League, whereas Scalvini's playing in the Serie A. You can see what type of footballer he is. Extremely progressive in his play. He's forward thinking in his passes. He gets involved in the build-up phase. He's comfortable in possession when he's driving into midfield, but he wins a lot of defensive duels and he's good in the air, a lot better than what Fabian Schar is. So he is a Fabian Schar, but in a bigger scale sort of thing. But again, like I say, if he was to transition into the Premier League, those statistics would decrease a little bit, but you can see the comparisons as we're going through. But it'll be interesting to see how he does return from this ACL injury. I know he returned a while back, but he's still getting up to speed. He's not the most physical defender. You wouldn't look at him and think, wow, he's a big lad. Yes, he's tall, but he's quite lean, but he's got a good use of his body. He knows how to, he likes to wedge his body in between the ball and the man, and that allows him to come away with the ball. But I just love his ball retention skills. It's different when you watch somebody like Ruben Diaz. He tackles and he pokes the ball away, whereas Scalvini wants to get a hold of the ball, and I love that because it'll allow you to transition and counter-attack very aggressively, and that suits Newcastle United's style. Then we'll move on to option 2, Mr. Flamingo. Who put that there? I don't mean a flamingo as in the bird flamingo. I mean Ryan Flamingo, the actual footballer, the centre-back, the midfielder by trade. You know, the one that plays for PSV? That's a lot better. Yes, Ryan Flamingo. He's currently at PSV. He signed for PSV last summer. 22 years old. He was born in 2002. He stands at 6'2". Now, he's a lot more broader than Scalvini. He's made 111 senior appearances. He has played in the Champions League, just like Scalvini that I forgot to mention. No injuries to date, and his market value is about 16 million. What I like about this boy is he's a midfielder by trade. If you remember what Eddie Howe said about Fabian Schar, he's got midfielder-like qualities. And so is this guy. He's versatile. He can play defensive midfield. He can play as a centre-back. He can play as a right-back. He has done on a few occasions. But he brings a lot of quality in possession. So composed. Super confident in possession. He's got an expansive passing range. He's a strong ball carrier. He's quick. He's physical. And he's good in the air. He's very complete. Without being the finished article, there's a lot of attributes there that you do like. He's got an impressive ball recovery and he retains possession extremely well. Capable of initiating attacks from the back, which aligns well with Newcastle United's tactical demands. Now, there is a few weaknesses with Ryan Flamingo, and there are a few that I've spotted clearly when watching him. There was a moment just beginning of this season where they played against Feyenoord. I actually think it was their equivalent of the Charity Shield, and he makes the wrong decisions sometimes of when to step out, when just to hold his position and track his runner. There was one point where a player was running towards him and he stepped towards a ball. As soon as that happened, he's eliminated out the game because a player just played a 1-2 around him and actually scored from it. And I just thought to myself, that's a lack of experience that is needed. But look, the profile, the attributes is all there. A few tweaks that will need to be made from Eddie Howe. Tracking runners, he allows attackers to get on his blind side, and you can't do that in the Premier League because if you do, you will be punished. So how does Flamingo, who keeps on putting that there, not a flamingo, I'm talking about Ryan Flamingo, that's better. How does he compare to Fabian Schar? Well, look, you can see the well-roundedness. He's so involved in the build-up stage for PSV. It's incredible. Yes, he's going to get a lot more time on the ball in the Eredivisie as he would in the Premier League, but his confidence is so high. And being educated as a midfielder, he understands the game a lot more. He understands the rhythms. He's got better angles. He's got better vision. He's got better awareness when he's on the ball. That's why it's important, I always say, in academies, not to turn young footballers into systematic players, because this is a prime example. Somebody that could bring the education from the midfield into centre-back, and he brings a lot of qualities that this day and age centre-backs, modern-day centre-backs desire. He's very progressive in his play. He's got a wonderful long ball distribution. He's always forward-thinking, and he makes a lot of passes per 90. And as you can see, he's just as strong ball carrier as Fabian Schar. What I like about this, what I'm seeing on the screen now, is the amount of percentage of duels that he wins. He's strong, he's combative, but again, though, that decision making, that alertness needs to improve. If he improves that, you've got one hell of a player. But again, I want to reiterate, not many players come from the Eredivisie to the Premier League and hit the ground running. So he might need time. It might not work out for him, because we've seen a lot of players with a lot of quality come from the Eredivisie and it doesn't work out. So I was speaking to an agent and he was saying, I would like Flamingo to play in a different league before he comes to Premier League for that reason. But look, you give people opportunities and it's up to him to walk through that door. And the well-roundedness is absolutely there. Then we've got Club Brugge's Joel Ordóñez. Yes, I called it Club Brugge. That's the real name for it. But you all know the club is Club Bruges. 20 years old. He was born in 2004. He's made 83 senior appearances and he's played Champions League football. He's missed 71 days and 12 games through injury since his senior appearance, and he's valued at 18 million. He's Ecuadorian. He played for the best academy in Ecuador, and he came through the ranks there. Now, there's another centre-back coming through the ranks that's 15 years old called Denner. Remember the name, because he's going to undoubtedly become come to Europe, in my opinion. What are his strengths? He's a proactive defender. He likes to step out and intercept the ball. He likes to read the game well. He's perfect for a high pressing system thanks to his tenacious ability, his comfortable ability in one-on-one situations, and his ability to recover the ball well. He's got sharp agility, he's quick off the mark, and he's got real good pace. And he prefers to intercept rather than tackle. And the reason I say that is because sometimes he doesn't feel too comfortable when it's really competitive. And I think that's something that he's going to have to get used to if he was to come into the Premier League. What are his weaknesses? His aerial ability really concerns me. Gets caught under the ball. His leap isn't timed very well, and he often gets beat in the air, and that's a real concern for me. And the statistics show that as well. His positional awareness, he's not particularly comfortable as a box defender. Somebody that has to make last-stitch tackles, somebody that has to anticipate exactly what the forward's going to do. Doesn't feel comfortable in those areas. He's more comfortable when he's pressing higher up the pitch. So again, these are little areas that Eddie Howe would have to work on. So this is how he compares to Fabian Schar. I've had to do this one a little bit differently because he's not on the website I was using for the other ones. So I've had to use these statistics, but again, they tell a full story. And I mentioned his preference to intercept rather than tackle, and the statistics prove that. He's only averaging 0.60 tackles, less than one tackle per game, and Fabian Schar's averaging about 1.5, let's say, per game. So that's something that he's going to have to improve. He's going to have to be more alert and get involved in dueling in the Premier League because it's a lot more physical and you're going to have to win your battles. Again, aerially, he's winning less aerial duels than Fabian Schar. And I mentioned his lack of box defending, his ability to anticipate when to block shots. Again, he's under Schar for block shots. When it comes to clearances, I mentioned his pace, his ability to read the game. He ranks quite highly in interceptions and clearances per 90, so that's a very positive. Now, when it comes to pass completion percentage, he's higher than Fabian Schar, but he makes less passes, and that's due to Club Brugge's style of play. They're a direct, very, very direct team, should I say, when they play in their league. So he doesn't really get involved as much as he would like in the initial build-up phase. But I've seen him do it, and he's got real quality in possession. And last but not least, Taylor Harwood-Bellis. Plays for Southampton at the moment, and we all know what Southampton are doing this season. They've had a terrible season. But one thing I will say is, no matter how bad Southampton are doing, they're going to get relegated. Let's not beat around the bush. That doesn't define him as a player. He's got a lot of experience despite his age. He's played 181 games in the senior football, and he's been around the block. He's played in Belgium for Anderlecht, played for Stoke, Burnley, Southampton, made a few appearances for Manchester City. One thing I will say, coming through the Manchester City Academy, you're very well pedigreed. Comes with a lot of background, a lot of good education. Stands at 6'2", and he's valued at about 25 million at the moment. Extraordinary technical ability. His ball retention skills. This is the education you get coming from a Manchester City academy. An academy that wants to keep possession, that encourages playing out from the back. Same with Southampton. So he's very progressive from deeper areas. He's got wonderful vision from deeper areas. And again, he's a player that likes to intercept rather than tackle. And I mentioned there's a lot of similarities between these players that I've selected because all high pressing players all want to engage high up the field, but all want to intercept so they can retain possession and start playing. When I watch Taylor Harwood-Bellis, I find him positionally very, very good. But I do have a few concerns. And again, these players are not going to be the finished article. So there's going to be weaknesses amongst every single player out there, probably unless you're Lionel Messi. But look, low success rate in duels. He has a high tendency to give away fouls. I think his physicality and his timing on the pitch could improve. And he occasionally struggles in one-on-one situations. His lack of composure allows the attacker to take the initiative and manipulate him too easily. And that's because he doesn't time his tackles right. He either dives in too early or doesn't dive in at all. So how does Bellis compare to Fabian Schar? Look at me, I'm calling them Bellis like he's my mate. Sorry, Harwood-Bellis compared to Fabian Schar. Well, you can see his comfortability in possession. Wonderful progressive passes, forward passes, getting involved in the build-up just by making passes, and he's wonderful at carrying the ball out from the back because I think Shaw's got a lot of quality in possession, and if he's got better statistics, that's a very, very positive sign. He's better in the air at Shaw, but the one thing that concerns me now, I spoke about it during his weaknesses, as his ability to win his duels. look, he's got a low percentage win of duels. That's the biggest concern with this guy, in my opinion. But in terms of getting involved, defensive actions, when you accumulate interceptions, clearances, blocks all together, it's very, very high. But he just needs to understand how to win his duels better. And again, I'm sure Eddie Howe will know exactly how to improve him in that remark, because if you look at Eddie Howe does not get the credit he deserves for improving players, and that's probably his biggest quality, in my opinion. But we're going to look at them all together as one now. And as you can see, passing wise, you've got Flamingo and Harwood-Bellis getting involved in the build-up a very, very large amount. They've been tasked with that responsibility of playing on from the back, so they're super comfortable with it. And again, all of them are high in forward passes percentage. When it comes to progressive passes, Ryan Flamingo is way ahead of everybody. That can come down to him playing in the Eredivisie, but you've still got to provide the numbers. You've still got to execute the passes, and he's certainly doing so. Sitting in a 99.5 percentile for progressive passes is extraordinary, no matter what league you're playing in. Defensive actions, Scalvini makes a lot more defensive actions than the others, but it's the defensive action percentage win is what scouts tend to look at. And you can see Flamingo's high on that remark. Above 93% is absolutely remarkable. When it comes to aerial duel percentage, Scalvini 59.2% ahead of everybody. I see anything above 50 is good, in my opinion. Not great, but good. And when it comes to progressive carries, you can see all four of them are super, super comfortable with the ball at the feet. And the funny thing is, this is what Eddie Howe will be looking at. You often, when you scout players, you look at data and you look through the eye test. So he'll be sitting at a round table with the analysis, with the scouts, with the sporting director, and they'll be discussing these exact things. So I want to hear your opinion, because we're doing what football clubs do: discuss and look at different profiles and look at the attributes and look at the statistics and see what fits best for your system. So I want to hear from you guys. Which players do you think suit best to this Newcastle United fold? Don't forget to drop us a comment in the below, but I want to hear from you guys. Like I say, I want to hear your input. I'm open to opinions. Football's all about opinions. I will be putting a poll out at the end of this video, so keep an eye out for that. I don't know how, but I'll figure it out somehow. So it might be in the comments or something for you to vote. And then the winner goes through the next round. And at the end, we should have our dream centre-back for Newcastle United. But if you've enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And until the next time, away the lads.